Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. This is the meeting of the Rules, Confirmations, and Public Elections Committee. I am detecting quorum with myself, Vice Chair Cash, Chair Evans, Councilmember Rutherford, and Pro Tem Sepulveda being present. Pursuant to Tennis Code annotated Section 844.112, time set aside at the beginning for public comment, but nobody is signed up for public comment here today. I do have a proposed consent agenda and we are now joined by Councilmember Johnston. I do have a proposed consent agenda for today. It includes items 1, 2, and 3. Before reading those into the record, is there anything that anybody wishes to remove from consent?
You said 1, 2, and 3?
Correct. Okay, seeing nothing, I'll go ahead and read them into the record. Item 1 is RS 2025-1105, a resolution setting the location, date, and time for the 2025 State of Metropolitan Government Address, sponsored Prep T. Item number 2, RS 2025-1130, a resolution declaring that the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, Tennessee, support the preservation of a federal tax exemption of municipal bonds. Item number 3, RS 2025-1131, a resolution honoring the life of Metro Nashville Police Department North Precinct Commander Anthony McLean. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for approval. Next we have RS 2025-1132, a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Dr. Charles Kimbrough, sponsor SWARA. There was a substitute filed here. Well, let's go ahead and get it before us. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Does anybody want to sign on to this one?
Sure.
Okay. So we do have a substitute that was filed by Councilmember Swara. And I do have it here before us. It looks like it's just clarification and whereas clauses. I'm sure everybody's had a chance to review it, but we'll go ahead and get the substitute properly before us. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Substitute.
Right, moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on the substitute? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Okay, we're on the resolution as substituted. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Okay, next we move into bills on second reading. First is an ordinance. First is BL 2025-771, an ordinance amending Title 15 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to amend the membership and credential requirements of the Stormwater Management Commission. Sponsors Sepulveda, Prep T, and Parker. Do we have a motion?
Move for a one meeting deferral with a brief comment.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is one of the recommendations that came out of the working group. It was moved for a one meeting deferral in budget yesterday. There were just some suggestions regarding some of the language in regards to the lawyer, and some of the members wanted some more information. So in order for that to happen, we're requesting a one meeting deferral.
Before we do that, can we just explain what it does, or what the intent is?
For the deferral or the bill?
For the bill itself, I'm sorry.
Yes, 1 second. Let me pull it up. All right. So this reworks the Stormwater Commission. The main point is it would remove the required membership of one of the licensed realtors elected from the nomination submitted by the Greater Nashville Association of Realtors, which is actually pretty new. We are the only city in the state that does this.
I'm sorry to interrupt
It
you.
removes it.
But right now, we require someone from GNR to be
Correct.
nominated? Okay, gotcha.
It requires at least one of the 4 registered professional engineers to be a civil or environmental engineer, preferably from the nonprofit or academic sector, and requires one member serving as a representative of a local environmental organization elected from nomination submitted by Metro Water Service.
Having heard the explanation of the bill and the purpose for the one meeting deferral, is there any discussion on the motion for a one meeting deferral? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? So we've got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for a one meeting deferral. Okay, next are late filed ordinances. This is by Chair Toombs. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from IWD to RS 7.5 to or RS IWD and RS 7.5 to SP zoning for various properties along Dickerson Pike, Mill Road, Jones Street, Locust Street, approximately 343 feet south of Kenneth Drive, 106.9 acres to permit a mixed-use development, all of which is described herein. We'll go to you, Chair Toombs, for the late filed nature of this ordinance.
Thank you, Chair. For this one, as well as the subsequent one, which is the building materials, companion bill. These were just approved at the Planning Commission this past week.
Okay.
And the development team needs to be on public hearing in May as opposed to waiting after budget in order to stay in compliance with their contract.
Okay, perfect. Well, since these are companions, we'll take them up as one. So what was just read into record was item number 6, and then item number 7 is an ordinance to authorize building material restrictions and requirements for blank, a proposed specific plan zoning district for various properties along Dickerson Pike, Mill Road, Jones Street, Locust Street, approximately 343 feet south of Kenneth Drive, to permit a mixed-use development, all of which is described herein. Okay, so taking these up as as on a consolidated vote, we've heard the late filed nature of both of these ordinances. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Okay, next we come to board and commission appointees, and first up we have the Emergency Communications District E911 Board appointment of Brian Pettis for a term expiring on February 14th, 2029. Mr. Pettis, thank you for being here. Would you like a parking validation?
I've got one. They were out front.
Okay, perfect, even better. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to here today?
No.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
I've been in technology my entire life. Got a lot of experience with telecommunications and networking. My councilman, Jason Spain, asked if he could put my name in with the mayor, and I told him absolutely. I've done a lot of solutioning for 911 for lots of corporations and other government entities. I checked with my friend Dave Rosenberg, who's now the Director of Legislative Affairs, to make sure there was no legal challenges, since I do work for AT&T. And so I would be abstaining from any AT&T activities if you approve my process here.
Fair enough. And so, understanding that our 911 services work pretty closely with AT&T, one of the things that was kind of laid bare for Nashville was kind of the vulnerability of our communications network after the Christmas Day bombing. Could you talk to us a little bit about how your experience with AT&T can help inform how the board moves forward?
I had no direct involvement with the reparations or I'm in sales. However, with that said, when you have CIOs from 17 companies calling you, thank goodness your neighbor has Comcast at the time, you've got to have some answers. So the interesting thing about the 911 piece was that it was at the bottom of the building, and when they turned the power back on after it was dried out, it came right back up after 40 years of being on all the time. So And as far as what exactly we've done to the NG 911 since 2020 bombing, I don't have any specific details on that. And as far as being able to go and ask the right people to make an informed decision on, or informing the board or any other committees that needed to know more, I'm your guy for that. I can definitely coordinate something like that.
Perfect. Anything from the committee? Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for your interest in serving in this role. I do remember your face from the SEIU Budget Town Hall. So I appreciate your willingness to go and attend that. I think it's important that you were able to hear from some of our Metro employees, and there was a 911 operator that spoke on the panel that day, and there was a mention of that we have retention issues when it comes to our 911 operators. So are you willing to look into our retention problems in regards to our employees?
Yes. I can work with our external affairs and see what capacity we have there. And as far as the actual service delivery, what we're doing with other states, I can check into that. I would just need to get specific, so if we could have a 30-minute debrief on exactly where you're at, what's going on, and what questions you have, I'll definitely follow up and give you some answers.
Great, thank you.
Anything else from the committee? Oh, Councilmember Johnson.
I would just encourage you to go and sit with our 911 employees for at least a couple of hours and listen to calls so that you know sort of how their system works, how their day works, and then look into their policies and procedures around how they operate and maximum number of minutes that they can be on the phone, and do they have a mandatory cooling off period if they happen to be on the phone when someone takes their life, for example. Those people they're not paid very well, quite frankly, and they have a really, really tough job. They're the first line of touch when someone's in a really bad situation. And so I just think it's really important. We can talk amongst ourselves, but unless you're there with them and actually can see it, feel it, and really experience it with them, I don't know that anyone will ever be able to talk you through it. So I would really encourage you to take half of a day off of work, or on a Saturday, because 911 is 24/7, and really sit down with those folks for several hours and see the process. And I mean, I've sat with them and had the headphones on for an hour or two with them, and it's enlightening to see what their job is, and how difficult it is, and how many moving parts there are at the same time that they're managing. So I would just encourage you to do that.
Thank you for the suggestion.
Sure.
I'll definitely take that and follow up with after we get assigned and make that happen.
Awesome, thank you.
Since you mentioned speaking with Dave Rosenberg from the mayor's office, Dave, is there, or Mr. Rosenberg, is there anything that you would like to say about this?
I appreciate it. Brian's a District 35 resident, always been really willing to step up, help out in the community. He's been helping recently with an MNPS issue with communications inside of a school, which I really appreciate. And just a really good guy, heart for service, and I think he'll be a great addition.
Thanks.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Fire and Building Code Appeals Board appointment of Amy Harden for a term expiring on March 1st, 2029. Ms. Harden, thank you for being here. Would you like a parking validation?
I'm good. I parked in another building accidentally.
Fair enough.
So,
Happens to the
thank
best
you
of
for a
us.
walk.
Yes. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other metro boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to here today?
I do not.
So tell us a little bit about what you want to serve.
So I became inspired after volunteering with the American Institute of Architects, and seeing the collective need for industry involvement in offering our expertise in any way that we can. So hoping to do that here.
Absolutely. So, well, let me formulate my questions first. Is there anything from the committee? Okay, seeing none, let me formulate my questions pretty quickly. So, because I can appreciate your willingness to serve and having that come from a volunteer experience, I think is incredibly crucial. Because one of the things that I think we're looking at is we currently going through the process of having presented to us the housing and infrastructure study. And we've had a couple of presentations that have come before council on that and could potentially affect our fire and building code, even though you wouldn't necessarily be making those kinds of policy decisions. But sort of what would be your approach to any sort of appeals that would come before you on this board?
First and foremost, we would look at the rules that are in place. So really understanding current building code, and then everything is tried to address within those adopted codes, but there's always a nuance, there's always an exception. So really understanding the reason and the why for the appeal, and then leading into that process if it's not within the books.
Anything from the committee? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Procurement Standards Board. Consideration of a nominee to fill one vacancy on the board with a term expiring on October 19th, 2027, with an election to be held on April 15th, 2025. Which is the nomination by Councilmember Joey Kimbrough of Roger Leishon Jr. We'll roll that to the hill. Okay. Next, we have the Work Release Board reappointment of Reverend Ron Parham for a term expiring on March 16th, 2029.
I don't, I'm from the sheriff's office. I don't see him in here.
Okay. We will, do you know if he plans on being present here today, or have you had any communications in advance of this?
I hadn't spoken with him today, but he said that he would, but I don't see him here.
Okay. Vice Chair.
Could we also note that his questionnaire seems like woefully incomplete? Like, I get he's a reappointment, but like it's got the email, address, and phone number, and then and council district, but pretty much everything after that is left, well, in mail, but pretty much
Yes,
everything.
I seen that when I called up here and I said, hey, did he return the questionnaire? And she said, yes, they had it.
Okay. Just if he's coming, if we're gonna defer and he's gonna come in 2 weeks, maybe we can get that a little bit filled out.
I think it needs to be deferred regardless. We need to
Yeah,
have.
fair enough.
Yeah, so I'll move for a 1 meeting deferral.
Okay, that's a proper motion, been properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion for a 1 meeting deferral? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for a 1 meeting deferral.
Director Darby, for there's only one nominee for the Procurement Standards Board. Would we have to do this all over again? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, hopefully he'll show up while we, well, I see Councilmember Kimbrough. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome. We were just discussing Mr. Leishon Jr. Do you know if he'll be present this evening?
No, I don't know.
Ah, okay. We have a little bit more business to handle. If you could reach out to him and see if they'll be here this evening. He's your nominee. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have board and commission confirmations. I believe these are folks that we previously interviewed. It will be going to the floor for a vote this evening. We can take it up as one consolidated vote unless there's anybody wishes to remove from this consolidated vote.
Move approval of all confirmations.
Moved and properly seconded. Before we vote on this, let me go ahead and just read these into the record, and also give Councilmember Kimber a little more time. So first is the Civil Service Commission reappointment of Jason Evans for a term expiring on March 31st, 2030. The Planning Commission reappointment of Edward Henley for a term expiring on March 31st, 2029. The Sexual Oriented Business Licensing Board appointment of Mesut Keklik for a term expiring on November 9th, 2027. The Sexually Oriented Business Licensing Board reappointment of Amina Osman for a term expiring on October 10th, 2028. And the Solid Waste Region Board appointment of Frederick Coffin for a term expiring on January 1st, 2021. The Traffic and Parking Commission appointment of Lisa Holler for a term expiring on April 3rd, 2030, and the Traffic and Parking Commission appointment of Dr. Lin Meng for a term expiring on April 3rd, 2026. The motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this consolidated vote? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? So that's 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. While we wait on Councilmember Kimbrough, I will also go ahead and announce / remind us that we will be having a specially called rules meeting this coming Thursday at 4 o'clock in the council chamber to get an update on the working group on boards and commissions. Dave Rosenberg from the mayor's office has very graciously agreed to make that presentation, holding it in the council chamber just in case folks outside of the committee wanted to attend and be able to view that and accommodate everybody, but that will be taking place this coming Thursday, and I will follow up with the council office to make sure that you all get emails about that. Any questions about that?
I thought there was a special called Entertainment Commission meeting tomorrow, but I don't see it on the calendar.
That has nothing to do with me.
I was just making an announcement, but I'm supposed to show up.
That's fair. Also, while we are trying to give Councilmember Kimbrough a little time to speak with her nominee, point of personal privilege, today we've got my sister and my dad present in the audience, so.
Would you like a parking validation?
Do you have any stories you'd like to share?
She's not recognized before the committee.
What was Jeff like as a kid?
No
Kidding.
He was great. He's always been perfect.
She works for the library, so we should increase their funding. Okay, well, all right,
Do we want to check?
Just defer.
As I said, do we want to check to see if
Yeah.
Councilmember Kimbrough's coming back?
Just went into.
Oh, okay.
You wanna sing?
I will not sing.
I've heard you sing.
That is fake news, absolutely false. You've never heard that or seen me.
Oh my goodness.
So any guidance director, darling?
No, Mr. Wiggin is not here, and I've talked with with Councilmember Kimbrough about the potential of suspending the rules on the floor to have him move to the next meeting since he's the only nominee.
Chair, I have a problem with that. I think it sets a bad precedent. So I would have an objection.
Me too.
Well, the motion's not before the committee at this.
So do we need to move a deferral, or is that the best
So,
thing?
Director Darby.
According to Rule 50.3, if a nominee fails to appear before rules, they are deemed withdrawn. And so the withdrawal will mean that we will take nominations at a later meeting and go through the process again.
So committee needs to take no action, or do we move a withdrawal? How many what?
I don't think that you need to move a withdrawal, but if you want to recognize a withdrawal for the record, I think.
Chair Toombs?
Is a deferral an option? Can the committee defer?
I would be reluctant to say deferral is an option because of Rule 50.3, which says failure to appear at the Rules Committee is deemed a withdrawal. The
Because we
candidate.
don't know why.
We have only allowed one person to appear late, and that was because of a death, right? And I remember for Councilmember Allen's sole nominee, we had withdrawn them and made them come again. So in order, in my opinion, for us to be fair to our colleagues, I think we should withdraw them and renominate them and have them come back.
Can they be?
It's a no call, no show, right?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Fire 'em. No, just kidding.
I'm just wanting to confirm that we haven't heard from this person with some sort of, reasoning behind it, so it is a failure to appear. Like, you get a bench warrant in court.
So, Director Darby, do I now
You have
have,
personal experience?
I was about to say, do I now have
No.
Chair Toombs.
Okay, so if the person is withdrawn, can he be renominated?
Yes.
Okay.
Just with,
I think,
That's the
so
way
can
to
we
go.
acknowledge that this is withdrawn and then get out of here?
Get out. Do you want to make a motion?
I will make a motion to acknowledge the withdrawal by failure to appear according to Rule 50.3
Yes.
by the committee, and we hope he will be renominated.
Okay, well, without objection, is there any objection to the motion?
No.
It passes. Okay. We come now to the adjournment. Do we have a motion?
Sorry.
All right, without objection, we do not stand
better
adjourned.
than the sheriff going after.